I'm currently without a mouse, so I was thinking bullet might not be the best idea. Right, okay, we have a very strong opponent here. 2400. That's going to be interesting. Let us go for a Sicilian. Usually gets pretty exciting. Going for the Najdorf. Why not? So this guy's blitz rating is 2200. Pretty good. 2259. And we have the classical variation of the Najdorf. So e6 is usually played, and now many moves are possible here. Bishop e7, the old main line, knight bd7, queen c7, even b5. But I think I usually go with this variation. It's a specialty of Grandmaster Boris Gelfand. It's the one that I personally know the best. It's very theoretical. So okay, so queen e2 is less of a theoretical move. Usually white goes queen f3 and long castles and bishop d3. But black can still, I think, just follow the normal plan here with queen c7 and b5. So queen c7 prevents e5. Struggling a bit to draw arrows here. Like I said, I don't have a mouse, I'm just using the trackpad on the laptop. a3, that's interesting. So usually with a3, black players often go for something like rook b8 and b4. It's a very common idea, just to attack this, because a3 leaves like this. It gives black the opportunity to play b4 with and breaking up the pawns in front of the white king. Also possible to just play normal moves like bishop b7, bishop e7, of course. Yeah, my experience with this rook b8, b4 idea, it's usually not, I mean, it's nothing special. Right, so white is planning to take on f6 and play g5. So how to respond to that? One idea is to play rook c8 and break up the white's defense against his king, which relies a lot on this knight on c3. So one idea is to sacrifice the exchange on c3. Just very primitive idea. Queen b6 usually attacks this knight when the bishop is on d3. Now that the bishop is on g2, of course this knight is protected by the rook. But queen b6 also is kind of a multi-purpose move. You can support b4 here, and also it opens up for this sacrifice on c3, which can be very dangerous. Maybe it's not the most accurate move in this position. Probably not. Usually the queen is on f3, and the queen is on e2. Yeah, I think it makes a little less sense in this position, but should be playable. Of course, black needs to be very careful in this position. It's a very dangerous position for both sides. Things can quickly go wrong in either direction. So queen b6, I don't know, I mean, I don't think I want to play b4. If I was going with the b4 idea, I should have played rook b8 instead, I think. So I guess my idea is just to sack on c3. So we'll see if white actually responds to that in any way. I mean, it's kind of difficult to react to it as well. How are you going to prevent the sacrifice on c3? You're going to play rook d3, it just runs into knight c5. We're going to move the knight? No. Maybe, yeah. I guess the sacrifice isn't as strong here as it usually is, but because the bishop is on g2 and not on d3, so black has some resources like rook d3 in some cases. Like takes queen c7, rook d3. Yeah, but then I have knight c5, right? Yeah, I mean, I think it's playable to take on c3. What else? Like bishop e7 seems a bit lame. Like white is ready to play e5 and knight d5. Knight d5 might be a threat, actually, just sacrificing the knight. Of course, yeah, it's very tempting to just make this sacrifice. I'm just gonna do it. I think it's yeah, maybe queen a5 even. But yeah, I think white easily gets the initiative otherwise. So the usual idea is if white goes like king b2, you have knight b6, and that is usually very strong. But here, white has a real choice. He doesn't have to play king b2. He can play rook d3, queen e3 maybe. Many moves. So yeah, like I said, I mean, objectively, I'm not sure if this is any good, but in many positions, it really is. And I mean, in the usual positions where black sacrifices on c3, I would just do it in a heartbeat. But there's some small subtleties about this position, like the bishop being on g2 instead of d3, and the queen being on e2 instead of f3. It makes it less enticing to do it here, but yeah, still, it's at least with after the sacrifice. I mean, e5 is not really an idea for white, because then I can take in and a3 is hanging. So he goes with this rook d3. Yeah, it is playable. So knight b6 would be the usual idea here, but no, knight c5 is tempting, d5 even. How to play this position. So knight c5, rook e3, one possibility. d5. So d5 takes, knight takes, then knight takes e6 is pretty scary. Yeah. I can play d5, takes, bishop takes a3, check, king moves, and then just castle. It's one idea. I have a lot of activity, that position. So d5, d5, e5. I guess I can jump into e4 with my knight. d5, bishop takes f6. Knight takes. Pawn takes d5. Bishop takes a free check. King moves. Castles. It's not so convincing. So if d5 and bishop takes f6, do I take back with the pawn? I guess I might have to. It's very complicated. Really hard to tell what the best move is here. I guess I just have to go for it. I only have 5 minutes left, so I think bishop takes f6 is probably would be my move here. It's probably what I would play, followed by taking on d5. Yeah, exactly. Do we have an in-betweener, like taking on e4? I can take on a3 at least. Okay, I can take here. So where does he go? Goes here. So is there any point in taking on e4? He gets to take on g7. So if knight takes f6, he's going to take on d5. And then wait a minute, I can take on f4. Is that anything? I get a lot of pawns, like taking on f4, queen e3. I can exchange queens and then take on f6 with the knight. It's one possibility. It was really complicated. Wow. Do you want to take on f4 now or later? So if I take on f6 now with the knight, can he play e5? I'm not sure, I'm not so afraid of that. I just jump in. Guess I'm gonna do it. Go here, I mean. Yeah, it's okay, but I think I just exchange queens. Because now there's no idea of sacrificing the knight on e6. So once he takes on d5, I think I can safely take back. And I have how many pawns? I have 2 pawns for the exchange. So he's thinking here. I would think like rook d takes e3 would be the best, but I don't know. Maybe he wants to keep the rook on d3 to sometime in the future. take on d5. Yeah, I see the point. So after this, I think I have to take with the knight, right? So he wants to take on d5, takes, and then maybe take on b5 with a knight or something, and then d5 is hanging. But I don't have to take back straight away because there's this pin. His bishop is pinned. I can just castle, I think. Looks scary, but I have to make some quick moves. Okay, isn't that just a bishop for free? What am I missing here? So c4 attacking the bishop. I have bishop b4 checks, c3 and bishop c5, I think. e7 now is interesting, rook e8. But fortunately my bishop, okay, just takes there. Not really afraid of that, I think. Do I take with the king or with the rook? I think with the rook. Don't have any time. Well, I do have time, but not sure I have time to calculate all the nuances here. Alright, so he wants a rook on the 7th, I guess. What about this, though? Just playing by feel, really. Attacks a lot of stuff. So bishop f8, there's rook... no, there's knight e7. That's not good, I think. But I have rook f8. The bishop is protecting the rook. Yeah, but I do have this, right? I hope. There's no knight h6. Okay. Yeah, but I think now I am in complete control. Should be possible to win this. Just make sure I don't blunder my bishop, or any of my bishops. So h5, king f7, I guess. And my a-pawn will start running down here. Like this, threatening bishop h6. Yeah. Have to protect my pawn. So I can get my pawn safely to a4, and then I can get over to maybe try to win the h-pawn with my king. So his defense is pretty much to stay put. Okay, let's start pushing the pawns. a3 next, followed by a2. And after a2 is played, I mean, the rook is tied down to the a-pawn, and I can start to move my king over, win the h-pawn. So, yeah. Okay, so he's attacking me here. Yeah, but the king is not entering just yet, so I can just go over here. King has no entry. on either of these squares. Yeah, that's true. B4? Maybe? Yeah, why not? Maybe he's gonna go for the H pawn and just give me a queen. No, we can't do that. As long as his king doesn't enter on the 7th rank, or can attack my pawn, I think it's no problem. Can just give up my bishop, right? So where do I want to go with my king now? He doesn't have any good checks or any, so I can, this one, right? This should be good enough. Bishop takes c3 and queening. I can take that. Yep, he resigns. I'm not so sure about the early middle game there. Let's see the analysis board maybe. So let's actually check out the opening book. This is all normal, and bishop b7 is the main move. G4, rook c8, bishop e7 of course is the most normal move. Rook c, and here, I mean, this is a bit suspicious, I think. Maybe it's okay, but yeah, computer says okay. Okay, so taking on c3 was actually the main computer move. Okay. Knight c5. Ooh. Okay, yeah, this was a blunder, right? Why is this so awesome? Here. Okay, yeah. Makes sense. So I was just winning. Interesting. So knight c5? Just this? Yeah. I mean, usually black has enough compensation once you damage the structure like this. So this, yeah, I had a feeling this was kind of suspicious. Hello to the chat. Haven't really been watching the chat. Sorry about that. Knight c5. Okay, so after this it's just like normal position. e5. Double-edged. But this was too much. King b1 and it's busted. Here I had this, and this was actually, even though I sacrificed, it's actually white who wants to attack, because this is enough material at this point. And castles, this of course is a huge blunder, as pointed out, but even still, yeah, knight c6, I think. So the computer saying about equal, I would say that it's definitely easier to play with the black side. I've just given up an exchange. I have 2 pawns for it. These doubled pawns are weak. This pawn is hanging. My king is safely tucked away on g8, so I would say, practically speaking, in a rapid game, this is easy to play for black. Of course, after this, it's yeah, I guess there's not much to look at here. It's just completely a winning endgame. Giving away the rook. Yeah. Okay, so d5 was that was premature. Duly noted. Yeah, I've played this opening so many times, and it's one small difference, and it's so easy to get the move order wrong and mix up ideas, and suddenly you're lost. That's why it's so fun. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling. Yeah, I guess that was it for this stream. So see you around.